Nate and I were recently playing through a game on the Let's Play channel, which is Degenerate Plays, so if you want to hear more conversations like this, be sure to check that out. That's in the description. And we were talking about video game and art criticism and kind of the dismissive ideas of just get good and you're bad at the game and you can't have this opinion because I did this thing in the game. And something I want to do more going forward is if we have a really good discussion that I think is worth sharing, I would like to share it on this channel. I don't want to do that with everything because I'm not going to completely relegate the Let's Play channel useless. Like, just upload every part here and be like, don't watch it. But this is something that I did kind of want to share because it's something that's been on my mind for a while, something I wanted to talk about for a while. So anyway, you'll have to let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It's just going to be a bit of a discussion, and I will have more videos coming soon. Some big projects I'm working on that I hope you enjoy. And if you do like it, check that channel out. It's in the description.
Well, the thing that's weird to me is Assassin's Creed Origins is my favorite video game ever. Am I, like, standing above criticism on the game? Like, it's like, oh, I didn't really enjoy this. No! You just didn't get the game. It's like, well, no, the game, it's my favorite game ever, but that doesn't mean it's perfect.
Right.
It doesn't mean that, like, people cannot ever bring up any problems. And when they do, immediately my answer is, you didn't understand the game, or you're not good. It's like, what is these comebacks? Like, my thing is, are you really that fragile of a person that someone criticizes a game that you like, and your first thought is insulting them of like, well, you just didn't get the game, or you're just not good.
Well, this is something
like,
I always see.
Like, who cares?
I've seen this all the way back, even with Call of Duty. I know that Call of Duty is maybe not the best example for the crowd watching this, because I don't know if they'll give a shit about Call of Duty. But Call of Duty or Halo or any of these shooters, I see this the most with them. You know what it will be? Wow, that weapon is a little overpowered. Well, you're just not good.
Right.
You're just not very good. Or, in the Soulsborne games, you know how most bosses are hard but fair?
Yeah.
Occasionally you'll come across something in the game that's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not very fair, especially for first-time players. And if you have any critique of it, what people say is, well, you just need to get good. You're not good. And my problem with that whole thing is that it completely dismisses any criticism, and your whole point is, well, you must not be able to beat it. Okay, what if I did beat it? I just beat this game.
Right.
Just beat it. What if I did beat Ornstein and Smo, and I still kind of find it unfair for first-time players that you're expected to either sit in the room before Ornstein and Smo and deal with and pick off all of these giant guys in order to get Solaire in through the door, because otherwise he's going to glitch half the time. He does, and they never fixed it.
Right.
Or you're expected to summon someone, which relies on people being online on the game and the game having online functionality, which also hurts the preservation of that game, because that game is fantastic. That game, I genuinely believe, is art that deserves to be preserved.
Yeah.
You know, if I had to pick out, I'm being serious here, if I had to pick out a handful of 100 games that I would say should be preserved for the future, well, actually might be an interesting list at some point of some kind, I would put Dark Souls on there.
Right.
So it bothers me when there's something in the game that stands a little bit in the way of that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, totally.
But people act like, no, you must not have been able to beat Ornstein and Smo. No, I did beat Ornstein and Smo. And so when people are acting like, well, no, you just don't get it, you're just not good, you are horrible, that's such a blatant, stupid way to dismiss things. You know, imagine if people did this with film. When people see film, and I know it's a different medium that you only have to analyze and watch, so you don't have to skillfully play it. But listen to how stupid this sounds. Well, yeah, maybe you didn't like that part of Passion of the Christ, but it's just because you didn't get it. It's just because you weren't good at it. What?
Right.
People would laugh at you. They'd say you're a moron. But for some reason in video games, that's okay.
Why does skill level equal valid opinions?
I don't know.
I don't understand. Why is it like, oh, well, in order for you to have a criticism of this game, you have to be good at it? Like, how does that make sense?
Well, this is the same thing with cooking. Have you noticed that you could be the worst cook in the world, but if I put a pile of poop on a plate for you, literally, and I steamed it with broccoli, and it tasted like shit. And if you taste it, you're like, this tastes like shit. And I'm like, it is. I shit on that plate and I cooked it. And you were like, ew. And it's like, you don't know how to cook. Fuck you.
Right.
People would be like, what? You know what I mean? And it's just, you could say, well, that's a ridiculous example. Okay, go to a restaurant. When your food is bad, I guarantee you'll know it.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Maybe you can't cook it.
Right.
And this is the problem, is people dismiss criticism so much with video games, especially, where they act like, well, because you couldn't develop that, you can't have an opinion. Or, well, because you couldn't beat that part, or maybe it was harder for you to beat it, but you did, you can't have an opinion. Why? Then why can you have opinions on other things that you can't do?
It's because they set up random arbitrary, like, challenge runs for them to do, and then they think that that gives them a valid reason to have an opinion.
Certain types of criticism are allowed. Literary criticism is allowed. Criticizing stories is allowed. But once you get into criticizing gameplay, everybody and their mother who has set up 35 challenge runs for themselves that are not necessary, where it's basically like, yeah, I did the Malik challenge run. I had my friend beat my arm in with a hammer and cut it off, and then I still beat Assassin's Creed 1. Cool. No one made you do that. You chose to do that. You don't get more say over the criticisms of AC1 because you did that. Or these people who will be basically, I beat Halo on Legendary with all skulls on. That's cool. You should be happy you did that. That's awesome. But that doesn't mean somebody who beat Halo 3 on Heroic can't have criticisms of the game.
Right.
Or can't have opinions around the game. Now, maybe some of those opinions are dumb. Maybe you can, say, hey, here's why I disagree. Here's my reasoning, and I have played the game before, and here's my experience with it, blah, 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 and reason it out. That's called logical reasoning. And that's cool. That's how discussions go. But my problem is all these people who, whenever you criticize a game, especially this game, Assassin's Creed 1 that we were playing when we recorded this, especially this game, what they will do is they will act like, well, I did this in the game, so therefore you're wrong. And I encountered this the most with fighting games, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The Smash Bros. Community is like this.
Oh, they're toxic.
To no end. Where you'll say, wow, I feel like Palutena's move where she whips out her boobs is just a little OP because all of a sudden the Super Smash Balls in my pants just start acting up and I can't play.
You entered your final Smash.
And people will be like, whoa, I cut those things off of me so that I wouldn't experience that during gameplay. It's like a lot of these people, they're not only doing challenge runs, they're living challenged run lives. Because they can't separate fiction from reality and understand that people aren't going to have the exact same opinions as them. And then they get angry when Nate the Nobody and Jay the Nobody, who play some games together online and just have fun, say, hey, I didn't like the way that Altair swings his sword makes it so that, the combat's not quite as deep because you have to do this strike timing in order to get combos. And the counterattack doesn't always work because it's designed not to, so you get knocked on your ass. And also the hidden blade is not as useful in this game as in the other ones. And people will take that and say, well, you must not be good at the game. How can you have that criticism? I beat the whole game just by countering with the hidden blade. And, while literally digging up the remains of my ancestor in real life and sitting next to them on the couch. Cool. I don't care. That's right. Great. Good for you. But you're not impressing me.
No.
You doing that does not make it so that my criticism is not valid. That just means that you spent your time doing that. I want to play... I've told you about this. I would love, and one of my dream platinums someday is Metal Gear Solid 4.
Oh, jeez.
Metal Gear Solid 4 has a requirement of playing through it 7 to 8 times. I don't remember which. I think it's 8. And one of those playthroughs, you have to play the entire game without getting detected once, other than the mandatory detections. There's a couple in the game because it's a stealth game.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to never get detected other than the mandatory times. And you have to never take damage. That's stupid. That's stupid hard.
And it's on the most difficult difficulty, too.
Yes. But you know what? Even if I do that, I personally don't think that I'm the arbiter of truth around Metal Gear Solid 4.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You could come through, play the game on normal, and have criticisms of the game. And you know what I would do? I would take those seriously. and I would discuss. I would say, well, Nate, what did you not like? Oh, I didn't like how the active camouflage system doesn't work on this type of terrain. Well, I beat it 8 times on hardest difficulty on the second Tuesday of the month after murdering my whole family for the familyless challenge run where I try and see if the bank will foreclose on my home before I beat it again. It's like, no, that doesn't make you better to criticize the game than me. It just means that you have different priorities than me, where you are putting so much effort and time into this game that you're becoming elitist.
Right.
And I don't even care if people do challenge runs. Like, there's that really nice guy. I really hope he doesn't turn out to be a bad guy at some point. There's that really supposedly nice, wholesome guy who does the Malenia challenge runs on Elden Ring, where he beats Malenia not wearing any armor except the pothead thing. Okay. And he solos Malenia.
Okay.
Cool. That's great. But if we come in with a criticism of Elden Ring, I wouldn't expect that guy to say, well, I beat Malenia with just the pothead and blah, blah, blah. It's so annoying to me.
Right. And it also doesn't make sense. It just literally doesn't make sense.
No.
Like, you doing the challenge run does not give you better criticism of the game.
Well, it also doesn't...
It doesn't connect.
It doesn't make you the... So my problem is people act like, well, because I'm better at it, this is, I am the only one who can have an opinion.
Right.
And that's my problem with it is that. Can you imagine if every single movie that came out, if we had audience reviews and critic reviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people took the critic reviews seriously and they didn't take the audience reviews seriously? Oh, wait, there's people who have done that forever and normal people make fun of them.
Right.
Because critical reception is not the same as what people want to see in a movie. And some of the things that critics look for, like cultural relevance of a movie, don't matter to 99% of other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all recognize that. So when we look at movie reviews, most people now, and I don't mean just to appeal to the crowd, but this is a true thing, most people will look at these movie reviews now, and they will look at both. And they will say, okay, well, looks like the critics liked this. If they loved it, sometimes that's a good sign. If they hated it, a lot of times it doesn't mean anything because they hate a lot of things that fans enjoy, and I'm going to movies to have fun. Right. And people recognize that, and they will watch, or they will check these reviews, and they will take both into account or listen even more to fans sometimes. But for some reason, when it comes down to fans of other things, we act like credentialism is the way to go, but your credentials are you beat a game on a harder difficulty or with a self-imposed challenge.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody made you do that. I hope. Nobody put you in a basement and said you can't come out until you beat Assassin's Creed with one arm. You know how mad this makes me? There's very few things that make me as mad as as this very stupid reasoning, because people actually believe it.
Yeah.
They truly believe that because they did something in a video game that they're super special. These games are here to have fun. They're here to be a fun thing that we talk about and play to pass the time before we die.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to be enjoyable experience, not a look, it's a dick measuring contest experience. And I'm so tired of that with stuff. If every single time somebody had a criticism of basketball rules, Michael Jordan came out of retirement to be like, yeah, well, I'm Michael Jordan. What do you have to say that I couldn't?
Well, yeah, I was going to say that, like, except I was going to do with hockey and Wayne Gretzky. But yeah, it's like, I don't understand it at all.
I want to let you talk for a minute, because I talked you to death.
Well, the thing is, I just don't understand it at all. I don't get it. It's because, like you said, we act this way about some things, but we don't act this way about other things.
Right.
And, well, I was going to use the example with hockey, where it's like everyone has all these criticisms of the NHL, but it's like, is Wayne Gretzky the only one allowed to have those opinions? Because he's the best hockey player to ever exist. So therefore, he's the only one with the opinion. Like, it doesn't make sense.
No.
It just literally does not make sense to me. And it also kind of makes you look like an unintelligent person.
Mm-hmm.
If someone else, like, okay, I guess unintelligent and also the word fragile. If someone else comes along and they're like, oh, I didn't really connect that much with this thing about your game, like this is your favorite game, right? It makes you look really fragile when you get that upset that you resort to name calling or
I think it's
around
elitism.
attacks and stuff. Like, it really makes you like fragile. Like, you're like, why are you this upset?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can like this game a lot. This could be your favorite game ever. But why are you like physically upset because nameless person online didn't connect with the thing that you like? That doesn't change your life at all. Your life did not get altered in any way, shape, or form because someone you've never met before in your entire life didn't connect with a thing that you did. You can just go home and play your thing with your 27th challenge run of the day and have fun if that's what makes you have fun. Like, it doesn't matter. It literally does not matter.
No.
And it's also, it'd be different if people had like actual valid criticisms. Like, if it's stuff like, not valid, dumb criticisms. You know, if it's something like, oh, I hated Assassin's Creed 1. Oh, why'd you hate Assassin's Creed 1? Altair had a bad character development. It's like, okay, that's a bad criticism. Because he had a great criticism in the game, or a great character development in the game.
Because you could walk someone through how he gets from point A to point B.
So it'd be totally one thing if it's like, oh, well, why did you not see his character development? This is why that's a bad take.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. But it's just stuff like, oh, I didn't really connect that much with the combat because it's a little clunky. Well, I am very good at the combat and you're wrong. It's like, okay, cool. I'm glad you're good at the combat.
Yeah, what do you want here?
Like, I'm not.
Do you want an award?
Like, cool. Like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Your skill level at something should not determine your ability to criticize the thing.
Right.
Those two things do not connect with each other.
I think it can add to it.
It can add to it.
So I think if you're, the cooking example is always a good one. If you have Gordon Ramsay in a room, he's going to know more about spices than me.
Sure, yeah.
And he's going to have some more, takes on that than I will that are probably smarter.
But if you said, I don't really like cooking that much, is someone going to be like, oh, well, Gordon Ramsay's great at cooking and he says it's fun, so you're wrong.
Right, or if Gordon Ramsay and I are both handed a plate of shit and it tastes like shit,
right,
and it's all burnt, I'm telling you, neither of us is probably going to like it.
Right.
But is his criticism more valid than mine because we both ate shit?
Right.
No. We just both ate shit.
Right.
And it tastes like shit. What do you want? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's levels to this, too. I understand if a game developer wanted to criticize how this game was made, they might have some more technical terms that they can use than I can.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of arguments I can make, too, even without some of those technical terms, and with some of them that I personally know as well, that hold water and do have weight. And they don't just not have weight just because I'm not a game developer. That doesn't make any sense. It also narrows your mind and perception with art. Because the whole thing with art is that it's supposed to be a basic human experience. I don't understand that because if I say, hey, I really didn't enjoy Marvel's Avengers 1. And someone says, why? And I hit them with a criticism of, well, I thought that Captain America's suit was too blue. Okay, fine. Now we know that that's a dumb criticism.
Right.
We can obviously, say something about that and say that's stupid. But if I say, I thought the plot structure was not as good as it could have been. It was trying very hard to balance a lot of characters, and it was one of the first movies to try and do so, to build all these movies on top of each other that were loosely connected. And, I go into this whole thing about it,
mm-hmm.
and I prove a point. You can't just say, well, Joss Whedon made the movie, and he said it's good.
Right.
Yeah.
That wouldn't make much sense at all.
And? What's your point? What are you trying to say here? And I guarantee you, everybody who does this kind of stuff, they have their own thing that they criticize. And it's always different when it's them. Have you noticed this?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's always different when it's them doing it. The get good crowd, always different when they're the ones to criticize something. All of a sudden it's, well, now here's why my opinion matters. Okay? Well, how come, 5 minutes ago, nobody else's opinion, mattered on this thing except yours? And now, when it comes down to it and you have a criticism of something else, your opinion matters.
It's because they're fragile and narrow-minded, and
because it's you.
And yeah, and
your standards are different for being you.
They put a lot of self-identity into the things they like, so when someone criticizes it, it's really upsetting to them, and they cannot handle it.
Right, because we've talked about this before, it's brand loyalty, and it's a criticism of you because your personality is caught up in the brand.
Yep.
So you'll see this with like Xbox or PlayStation fanboys or Nintendo fanboys. You'll say, hey, I really wish they put a better processor in the new Nintendo 5000 system that I just made up.
Right.
Oh, well, you must be a hater. No, I just wish that they had done a better processor because I'm going to have to pay $300 for this thing.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's also okay to just like something more. You know, there's things that we like that aren't good. You and I both like some of the Michael Bay Transformers movies.
I was going to say, we're going back to Transformers.
We don't have a lot of logical reasons as to why we like them.
They're just fun.
I could list out some things that I think are actually fun and about them that people shouldn't hate on as much. But at the end of the day, I find them fun.
Right.
And that's okay too. You know?
You sound like Tucker Carlson.
And that's okay too. You know?
It's a dumb deflection of not having a thought at all to your favorite thing in the world. It's like you're just deflecting the point. You can just come out and say, I really like this thing, and I have nothing to clap back at what you are saying about it.
Right. You can also, you know what
so you resort to name calling is basically what you do.
You know what I prefer over that? And I'm being serious. I prefer over this the narcissistic take of, I don't even give a shit about your opinion.
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
the thing. I like it. I don't care who you are. I like it. I even prefer that. Now,
because at least we know what your take is.
Right. And now, is that a good reasoning? No. But I'm going to be honest with you. Blade Runner, the final cut, Blade Runner, is probably my favorite movie ever. Guess what? If you came out and said, I don't like it, I could have a conversation with you, but I highly doubt that would change it so I don't like it.
Right.
That probably wouldn't really move my opinion at all. Unless you made the best point ever that I just randomly missed. I don't think that would change my enjoyment of the movie. It would just be, oh, okay, well, I wish you liked it more. And that's it. And so I almost respect more the people who just say, you know what? Maybe you don't like Ornstein and Smo, but it's the only thing that gets me off. And I don't care that you don't like it because to me it's God. Fine. Good for you. Great. Enjoy your little thing. I don't care. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It doesn't. Yeah. It's not that deep. It doesn't matter that much. The whole point of criticism and discussion is meant to be discussion, right? It's meant to be, here's my thoughts, here's your thoughts. Can we in some way not change what each other think completely, but can we maybe have our mind open to new takes and new experiences and new interpretations? And maybe, even though I hate Shakespeare, this actually happened to me. I don't like Shakespeare's plays. I don't find them that interesting. I could tell you all the ways literarily that they are great.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you the ways that Shakespeare, some of the ways, because he's done a lot, helped reinvent language, creating words and changing context of things. I have a degree in literature and teaching literature and English. I could tell you all those things, but I don't enjoy Shakespeare's work. It's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other problem I have with this, too, is it also lacks the ability to separate enjoy from good or bad. They are different. You know, you can enjoy things and also think parts of them are bad. You can dislike things and recognize good parts of them. Or you can have the opinion that some of the good parts people talk about are not as good as they act like and justify it. And at the end of the day, that's supposed to be the whole point is, hey, Nate, here's my thoughts. What do you think about this? Oh, here's my thoughts. Let's talk about it. What is there any kind of common ground here? What do we reach? What do we not reach? Has our thinking changed at all? Did we make good points? No, we didn't. Yes, we did. Cool. Good. That's it. You know, it's like you're getting to a point where you can have this intelligent discussion back and forth, and that intelligent discussion is supposed to add to the thing, not devolve into this weird name-calling, angry, elitism thing where it becomes a measuring contest. It becomes that is my main problem with the get good crowd. I just want to say that. It becomes, here's why I'm better than you. And you know what? If we really want to go there, we want to go to insults and all this stuff. Why are you defining your worth by how good you are at a game? Why are we defining your worth at how long you sat in front of a TV alone in your
right.
room? That's not a good way to define your worth. I could just as easily make fun of you for that shit as you could try and act like it makes you important. I could just as easily sit down and tear you down for 30 minutes about how I was out making out with women and, getting money or what, I don't know, whatever, as you can act like it makes you some great hero. It's stupid, and it's all about your priorities. And at the end of the day, I genuinely don't have a problem with people who do challenge runs and who play the same game for 300 hours and really want to get good at it. That's great. That's awesome. Good for you. But don't act like it makes you better than me. Because I could just as easily sit here and insult you over it as people insult us or insult other people over our opinions on video games. They are games. And you're sitting here acting like your devotion to turning the game into a full-time job makes you a better human being than me and more capable to criticize the sword flow combat of AC1. It doesn't. It doesn't. And the idea that it does is laughable. At the end of the day, these people, it's not even to them about the game. Not really. It's about a measuring contest of showing how important they are. And it's usually because people don't feel important in another area in their life.
Right.
So they say, well, the reason you don't like my video game is because you're stupid. Look how great I am. Right. And I don't care how great you are. You should not be defining yourself by how good or bad you are at some game. That's what the get good crowd does. The you're just bad at the game or you just didn't get it. That crowd, what they're doing is trivializing people and experiences that they disagree with while self-aggrandizing experiences that they have had. And whenever people do it in real life, we laugh at them. Because at the end of the day, you could be the best Twitch speedrunner of all time of Assassin's Creed Liberation, but I could play Liberation, not enjoy it, and make some good points.
Right.
And I don't think that just means your opinion matters and mine doesn't. They are normal people, and then they come out of the woodwork to define their entire personality and tear down your entire life based around how you played or perceived a video game. And I really don't like people who do that. I really don't like them. Because at the end of the day, to me, it comes off the opposite. I see it and I think, well, you're trying so hard to be important, you must have some kind of inadequacy. Right. You must have some kind of problem where you don't feel like you are important. Otherwise, why would you need so badly to be important? So it's like, it's not doing what you think it is. I understand that maybe that's a little judgmental of me, but my point is if you're going to come in and judge me, you can bet that I probably will have some thoughts back. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to end the way you think it is, where I bow down and say, oh my gosh, this guy beat Halo with only the melee ability.
Using his testicles as the buttons.
Here, take the deed to my house.
Right.
No, I'm just going to say, okay, well, there must be a reason why you are acting the way you are and being such a massive douchebag. What's wrong with you? And it'll just make me not like you and not listen to you. I'm not going to listen to people who are just assholes.
Right.
I'm not going to. Even if they're right, I'm not going to listen.
Well, yeah.
Because you're being a fucking asshole. I'm not going to listen to you.
And I think that statement can apply to pretty much everyone on the internet. Everyone enters any situation angry all the time. And they act like a complete dick right away. And it's like, well, no one cares now.
Right.
Literally no one cares.
You can make the best point ever.
Yes, but you're being a dick about it.
Yeah.
And therefore the other person now immediately is getting angry because you're a dick to them randomly. And instead of just making a point and talking about it like a normal person, you have to insult them. You have to be angry to them. You have to, make some, weird, dick measuring point of, well, I'm better than you, and look at what... And it's like, well, this... Yeah, like you said, it's like, this isn't what you... This is not doing what you think it is.
No, it's pushing people away from your
It makes everyone think that you are just a dick. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's their immediate thought is just, well, this person's a dick. Right. They're not sitting there oh my gosh, wow!
You're right!
They're just wow. This person's a douchebag.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't get the point. And also the other, and I guess I don't really have a lot else to say about this. But
sorry, because I did certainly go off on
well,
it.
it's a good point. But the other thing I wanted to say is, we already touched on this a little bit, but I want to add to this. Like we already talked about a little bit, video games are supposed to just be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're supposed to turn on Assassin's Creed, and even if it's not our favorite thing of all time, it's just supposed to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. Yeah, I get there's a story. Yes, I get these people can be inspiring to you. Yes, I get all these things. But at the end of the day, it's a game. Like, it's supposed to be fun.
Yep.
So therefore, if the game was fun to you, and let's say it was not fun to someone else, it should not matter at all. Because guess what? The game was fun to you. Mm-hmm. And that other person that did not get into the game like you did, they probably have things that they like too. And that's okay. Like, that is perfectly fine. Like, let's say, like, I hated Fallout New Vegas. Like, it was just, let's just say I hated this game.
No.
I know, like, you're really upset
It's
here.
one of my favorite games ever. You can't hate it.
Right.
Now I hate you. Here's why I beat it 32 times while getting, I'm not, oh man, oh geez. I'm allergic to peanut butter, and I ate 32 tubs of it while playing and taking EpiPens. And I still won, and that's why my opinion is better than yours.
Right.
And
also,
also,
it doesn't make sense.
Also, I'm gay, and I actively chose to sleep with a woman during playing it so that I would psychologically harm myself and be in a worse state of mind in order to beat the game. And also, I played with only the 10mm pistol, by the way, too, and I didn't use any ammo. So anyway, here's why you're dumb for not liking the game. Yeah?
Like, okay. You sound delusional now.
I actively hunted down the developers of every game I played, stored them all in my basement at gunpoint, made them all develop new games, and I beat those games. So here's why you can't like that game. Yeah?
Okay. It's just a dumb point. It's like, it doesn't make sense. It does not make any sense to me. It's just, it's such a dumb thing to have a dick measuring contest about. It's a video game.
Yeah.
Like, just play the game.
Right.
You will like things that you like. Other people will like things that they like. They don't have to be the exact same thing. Just have fun. Like, I wish we had a time where it's like, oh, hey, I really like Assassin's Creed. Yeah, I didn't really like it that much. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to go home and play Assassin's Creed and have fun. That's interesting. You're going to go home and play Uno on Xbox Game Pass, and that's your favorite thing ever. And you're going to have fun.
Right.
There we go. The end of discussion. Like, who cares?
And I don't even think it needs to be the end of the discussion. I think you can still talk about it.
Well, sure, yeah.
But I don't like the where it goes. Because it almost always goes to, here's why you're stupid.
Yeah.
And like, I also understand if there is a tone that matters with these discussions.
Yeah.
So if I come into the tone acting like I'm smarter than everyone, if I come in and I say, well, everyone loves Assassin's Creed 1, here's why they are all wrong, it sucks balls, everything about it is bad, if you like it, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, if I come in with that attitude, then if someone claps back with, well, I beat the game doing this, and it sounds to me like you don't know what you're talking about, all of a sudden that person sounds better because I came in with a elitist attitude myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the attitude you bring to the table in the first place, I think matters. I think that highly contributes to the conversation because I think who is the aggressor first does matter to this. Mm-hmm. Because if I come in and I'm acting more intelligent than you, and then I end the video and say, and I have 100,000 subs, so anything you say is stupid. Okay, well, I've come in with this self-aggrandizing attitude, and I shouldn't expect other people to not show up with that too. And I think that, now, does that justify, like, does that make them right? No. But it just means that I created that environment, you know, of being a dick. And now other people are going to come in and be a dick, too. And it's the same thing. I see that a lot, too. People will unknowingly establish the ground rules for the discussion by being a jerk. And then they will basically be surprised when other people show up and are a jerk.